Hi, my name is Marilee Norden. I'm a licensed realtor in both Colorado and Arizona, and I am with eXp Realty. I'm going to give you a Home Buying 101, which is a first-time buyers webinar to give you the basics about purchasing your first home. And the information that I will be giving is generalized information that is relevant in both Colorado and Arizona. It may be relevant to you if you are in another state. However, if you do need help from a realtor in your state, let me know. I have a very large network of folks that I can connect you with in all 50 states. If you happen to be in the UK or Australia, I can also help you there. Let me know what I can be doing for you, and I'm happy to get you going. All right, first time home buyers program, let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to see here is Home Buying 101. This is our home buyers webinar. My name again is Marilee Norden. I am a licensed real estate agent as well as a realtor in both Arizona and Colorado. My contact information is right there. Depending on which state you're in, you can absolutely use that toll-free number. You will get my cell phone. Just dial extension 101 and that will come directly to me. So for a lot of people, there's a lot of questions when they first start thinking, I want to buy my first home, and they feel like they're not getting answers to those questions. Where do I start? What does this process look like? Why is everything so dang expensive? What is going on, right? So let's talk about these things. The first step in preparing to buy a home, you guys are doing it right now. You want to gather your information and understand the process. How long does it take? A lot of people will ask me, why can't I just pick a house and buy it? I want to live in it now. The reality is that there is a large process. And that process can take anywhere from 5 days to 45 days to even longer, depending on your needs and the needs of the seller. I have been asked many, many times, why is every home on the market overpriced? And the reality is they're not overpriced, they're just priced. The asking price, I always tell people, is a starting point. This is what the seller would really like to see happen. So let's talk about what that means. What that really means is it's a negotiating point. You may not be able to purchase that amount of home, or your realtor may say to you, you know, I think that a better offering price for this home would be this amount. Let's try to land here, because it's going to be a negotiating process. Seller is going to ask high because they want to make the most money. Buyer is going to offer low because they want the best price. Something that Americans tend not to be very comfortable with, which is why a realtor is a real handy thing to have. All right. Can I buy a home without any out-of-pocket costs? The answer very simply is no, you cannot. There will be out-of-pocket costs. Can you buy a home with no money down? Depends on how you look at it. You hear a lot of infomercials where they say, oh, buy a home with no money down. You cannot truly buy a home with no money down. What they're saying is you may be able to purchase a home without a down payment. If you qualify for a USDA loan and your community also qualifies for a USDA loan, you may be able to buy a home without a down payment. That does not mean no money out of pocket. You will still have to pay for your home inspection, you still have to pay for your appraisal, you still have to pay closing costs. Even on a VA loan, there are certain costs that you still have to pay. So that's something that you need to be prepared for. Is there a deposit? There is a deposit. It's called an earnest money deposit, and we'll talk more about that as we go through here. How much does a realtor cost? I'm going to give you some information about how we as realtors work, particularly in Colorado and Arizona. It may pertain to your state, it may not. So if you need information on that, let me know. I'll hook you up with a realtor in your state, and they can answer that question specifically for you. All right, so this is a funny question, but I've had it happen. I have a bunch of cash in my mattress. Actually, it was a bunch of cash in a Ziploc bag in a freezer. When you're purchasing a home and you're taking out a mortgage and you go to the closing, you cannot just slap your down payment in cash down on the closing table. It has to be wire transferred in from your bank to the closing company. So if you've got a bunch of cash sitting around in your mattress, in your freezer, in your wallet, that money needs to go into the bank, and it needs to be sitting there for at least 3 months before you actually make an offer on a home. We have to be able to track that money back. The lender is going to have to be able to track that money back, showing that you're not laundering cash. All right. What does a real estate agent do for me and why do I need you? Well, you may not necessarily have to have a realtor. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, what a realtor actually does and what our job is in coordinating the 28 plus human beings who will touch your transaction. And I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as a perfect house. What do I mean by that? Well, let's go to the dog pound and let's find the cutest dog we can find. Oftentimes, that dog is going to be three-legged with one eye, and his name is going to be Lucky. So, when I say there's no such thing as a perfect house, what I really mean is there's a perfect house for you. And like your pal Lucky, it may need some extra TLC. Okay? So there's a home out there for you. The question is, what kind of a home is it going to be? Fixer-uppers. I have first-time buyers tell me all the time, I'm open to a fixer-upper. You may be, your wallet is not. Fixer-uppers are actually far more expensive to purchase for a couple of reasons. For one thing, you're going to be in competition with cash buyers. A cash buyer is somebody who comes in, buys that house for cash. They can close in 5 days or less sometimes. The seller who is selling the fixer-upper wants that house gone as fast as possible. A cash buyer can close quicker than you can with a mortgage because your mortgage has to be underwritten to the letter of federal law. So that takes time. The cash buyer is going to come in and say, I'm going to give you this much cash, we're going to close in 5 days. Then they have the cash in hand to rehab that property and resell it or hold it. Chances are, as a first-time buyer, you don't. Fixer-uppers sound like a great deal, but the reality is your lender likely will not be able to lend on it because the rehabilitation will be more than what the home is worth. It's kind of like totaling your car. Think of a fixer-upper as a totaled car. If you do actually manage to purchase one, for most first-time buyers, they tend to be money pits. You do not usually have the experience to be able to deal with all of the issues that a fixer-upper may have. Because once you open those walls, you've heard of opening a can of worms, you may find a lot of worms in those walls. So fixer-uppers are not usually the best purchase for a first-time buyer. All right, now the question, where do I start? This is always a big one. You're going to face the right direction and you're going to put one foot in front of the other, just like anything else that you do in life. You're trying to get from point A to point B. You need to know where you're going and have a roadmap to get there. So you're going to commit to the process. The process is going to take time. Most first-time buyers, regardless of what you see on HGTV, do not go out and look at 3 homes and buy one. That's not the way it works. You will probably look at somewhere between 8 and 20 homes before you find the one that you can afford, that you like, that you're willing to put the work in on, and that will work for your family and your needs. Don't forget your wallet. You have to have money before you go looking at homes. That means you need a lender before you need a realtor. You want to make sure that you have your wallet so that you can actually go shopping. Pick your shopping partners. Your shopping partners are going to be your lender and your realtor, the person who's going to make sure you have your money and the person who's going to fight for what you want to get out of this purchase. Once you have all those things in line and you found your home, you're going to write an offer and you're going to close on the home. Contract to close. So again, your first thing you're going to do is get the financing. You're going to hire a realtor. You're going to find the home that you want to purchase. Your realtor is going to help you write your highest and best offer. You're going to deliver your earnest money to either the seller's agent or the title company, depending on where you are. You're going to have the inspection done. Once the inspection is done, you're going to get an appraisal. Once your appraisal comes in, you're going to order up your home insurance. Then you'll get your clear to close from your lender. That means that you are ready to make your purchase because they are ready to fund your loan. Then you have your closing day, and congratulations, you're a homeowner. Inventory and demand and what it means. So I'm just going to make a little circle here. This was a statement that was made back in 2018 by one of the folks at the Denver Metro Association of Realtors. So the big winners in 2017 were the home sellers. Why? Because we were in a seller's market. Where are we right now? Here it is, day 2 of 2020. We're still in a bit of a seller's market, but there are a lot of market changes that are occurring. Prices are leveling out. There's more inventory coming to the market. The real estate market is the only market where I could truly point at it and say, Inventory and demand will absolutely affect pricing. Remember that economics class you had back freshman year of high school where they talked about inventory and demand? You have a certain amount of goods and a certain number of people who want to buy those goods. We have had a situation where there have been very few of the goods and a whole lot of buyers, so prices are high. That's starting to level out. We still have a lot of buyers, but the inventory is going up, which is actually lowering prices for most buyers. Not true in every community, not true in every state, but it is starting to become a change. The other major change that we're seeing is that traditionally in the United States, people were purchasing their homes between May and July. That's starting to change. We're seeing more closings happening in February from homes that were put on the market in August. So you can make these purchases at any time of the year, just depends on what your needs are and what your timing and schedule look like. Now, as we go through this process, we're going to talk about out-of-pocket costs. Now, for this, I'm going to switch myself out of the screen for a minute. Out-of-pocket costs over here. Shopping does cost you money. It costs you money because you have to pay for the gas. Fewer and fewer realtors are actually putting buyers in their cars and shuffling them around town anymore. The real reason for this is safety concerns. You probably don't want to be in the car with a perfect stranger. Believe me, it's very difficult for us as realtors to be in the car with multiple strangers, usually a couple, sometimes a couple with an extra person who comes along to shore them in or help them make their decision. It puts everyone in a very awkward position. So be prepared to do your own driving. Deposits and down payments, closing costs. I'm going to tell you as just a very arbitrary number, $5,000 to $7,000 you have to have available because you're going to be paying for your inspection, you're going to be paying for your appraisal, you have to pay closing costs on your loan, and you have to pay closing costs for your transaction. Those are the costs to actually get the property taken out of the seller's name and put into your name to have the taxes transferred over. In your community, it may also include transferring water rights. It could include a lot of different things. $5,000 to $7,000 at minimum. You've got to have it handy. If you don't have it handy, you need to wait to make your purchase until you can put $5,000 to $7,000 aside. All right. Homeowners insurance. Where do I start and do I even need it? If you have a mortgage, you will be required to have homeowners insurance. It is part of your insurance requirement on your loan. So start with whoever's holding your car insurance. Most insurance companies offer a discount on your car insurance for bundling in your homeowners. If that doesn't work for you, you can always go outside of that that particular insurance company and start shopping around so that you can find the best insurance for what you decide you need. An appraisal. Why do you need an appraisal? You really don't. It's your lender who needs the appraisal. The lender will base the amount of the loan on the appraisal. The appraisal, if it comes in at the amount that you're offering, say you're offering $300,000, the appraisal comes in at $300,000. Most loans are not 100%. Most loans are going to be a percentage of the purchase price. So 97.5%, or I'm sorry, 97% for mini FHA loans. So you have a 3% down payment that you need to come up with. On that $300,000 house, you're going to pay 3% on an FHA loan, and then the lender will loan you the other 97%. That appraisal determines what 97% is, because they will give you 97% of the appraised value of the home, not what you offered. All right. Difference between market value and appraised value, I just kind of gave you that. Appraisal is not market value. Market value is the price at which a property actually sells. So those are really important things to keep in mind. How do you pay your realtor? Typically what happens, at least in the 2 states where I work, is there is a co-op fee that is offered by the seller. That is the amount that the seller is willing to pay to the buyer's agent for bringing the buyer in the first place. In many cases, you may not owe your realtor anything. In some cases, you may owe your realtor something because the seller doesn't want to offer a co-op. So make sure that you understand what your buyer's agent's fee is and how that is going to be paid and whether or not you may end up owing something. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. Go on to the next piece of the webinar, 15 minutes per webinar. Look forward to seeing you.